What's up, YouTube? It's your boy CM Drake with my co-host,
Sports guy who?
and you're tuned in to the Wise Guys Sports Talk channel. We have a great segment ahead for today, December 29th. We're going to recap Week 16's head-to-head on DraftKings from me and my co-host. Also, we're going to talk about Week 16's top performers per position. And plus, obviously, get into Week 17 coverage and much more. So make sure you stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to the Wise Guys Sports Talk channel, where we like to talk about sports, namely fantasy. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit us with a like. Also, subscribe below and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So, for this segment, we're going to get right into it. Me and my co-host, we're going to talk about last week's head-to-head on DraftKings. What do you think about that one, man?
Uh, I don't know about you, but last week didn't go as expected in terms of the players that I chose and you chose as well. I mean, we only I scored. I won the competition. I had 144.6. You had 122 even. But in terms of players that we chose, we thought these players was going up against teams that they could have exploited, could have supposed to have big games. I chose at a quarterback spot. I chose Cam Newton. He had 16.6. I thought he was going to have at least between 20 and 30 points easily. Especially going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who's literally been giving up massive points to opponents. And you had Philip Rivers, who only had a 15.6 against a Jets team that coming in, we all thought with Keenan Allen being big, Melvin Gordon being big, that this would have been another player that was going to have high numbers. But unfortunately, Keenan Allen went down, Melvin Gordon went down, which kind of stalled the offense for the Chargers. But in terms of performance-wise, that's just a couple of things. But of course, the difference between my team and yours was I had Todd Gurley.
Todd Gurley.
I chose to go with Todd Gurley. Yes,
Todd
Todd Gurley.
motherfucking Gurley. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
that's what I'm supposed to go with.
yeah, I did roll with Antonio Gates. I was riding
Yeah,
him the whole entire time. I did have a double tight end with Greg Olsen. That was a bad choice right there. But eventually the downfall. Oh, and Kareem Hunt. Oh no, Alvin Kamara, who only had 18 and some change. Which come on, when your guy has 55,
yeah.
it's kind of a runaway win. So.
Yeah,
Um,
Todd Gurley had a great game. He had 118 yards rushing, and then 158 receiving. You can't compete with that. You're talking about almost over 300 yards this guy had by himself. By himself, almost had 300 yards. So you can't really compete with that. Only way you could look up, you could go from there is up with those kind of numbers.
It
But
would have been
in
nice to at
terms of
least
fan
have
performance,
it would have been nice to at least have Lewis, Dion Lewis to go with that, but wasn't meant to
yeah.
be. I didn't really catch on the him being the solo act until right at the very end before the tournament started. So
Yeah, that's key with the Patriots, man. They're known to kind of at the last second pull players, and all of a sudden a guy's entire role changes. That's why sometimes it's tough. Outside of Gronk, Cooks, and Brady, it's kind of tough to pick the Patriots players because Belichick is very keen on making sure that if you're not 100%, you're not playing, regardless of what. Outside, like I said, Brady, Cooks, and Gronk are the only players I know that the Patriots will push out there. And depending on what week it is and what team it is, if Belichick feels that they could beat them without you, he'll sit you and won't feel any way about it. So picking Patriot players is always tough because you just don't know if they're going to play or not, if they're a little banged up. So Dion Lewis was a late add-in because Burkhead was a scratch. They said it was probable, then it went to questionable. So
well,
that
James
was a
White
tough one.
too. James White too. They didn't really mark him as being out until that half hour prior to injury report. So I
Yeah.
only had time to really slide him into one at 6 grand. He wasn't an easy person to just place into any lineup. You kind of had to budget for 6,000. So um,
Yeah, yeah. But if you want to talk about it, what's the crazy thing about it is in a second I'm about to get into the top performers at each position from this past week. But let me just say it was eye popping when I actually saw these numbers. But Jared Goff was the highest played quarterback last year. Only cost 6,100. He had 21.4 points. Tyler Gurley, of course, cost 9,100, which with putting up 55 points, you are beyond worth it. I know we always talk about, is a player worth it at his position if you cost a certain amount of money, and a lot of times a lot of players aren't. If you're not outside of the Bell, the Brown, the Gurleys, they're not. I mean, most of those players aren't really. And at one point, Kareem Hunt and also Alvin Kamara as well. Sometimes those players are not really worth what they are. But when you put up 55 points, you're beyond worth it. And then Deion Lewis, just spoke about Deion Lewis. He had 35.3 points. He was heavy in the Patriots offense. Come out of the backfield, run the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. I saw a couple plays this past week where he burned a couple linebackers that's trying to guard him up the seam. So that was pretty good. He had 35.3 points. Then old man River, I call him Larry Fitzgerald. Every time we think that he's going to have a bad week, he's some odd reason has put out a big week. He had 30 points last week. Then out of nowhere, this guy from Miami named Jakeem Grant. I mean, I don't know where this guy came from, but he had 34 points, only costing $3,000. And then your boy, Antonio Gates. I wrote him off. You told me not to. I said, well, he hasn't done anything all year, so I don't expect him to do anything this week. Early in the season, he did have a time where he actually did sub in for Hunter and didn't do anything. But he had 20 points. Then Giovanni Bernard at a flex spot, 32.8 points he had. The Cardinals defense on my New York Giants, 24 points they had, which gave you a subtotal of 251.9 points. If you had all those players in your lineup, it would only cost you about $39,000. So you had $10,000 to play with just by adding these players in your lineup. You would have had the highest lineup last week, and you'd have won the $100,000 with ease.
Okay. Well, I definitely did not, and neither did you, because you're here today. So
Yeah,
scratch that. So lesson to be learned moving into Week 17. A lot of people being sick. The playoff picture is what it is. We still got to get through Week 17. So that's going to push into our next segment, the playoff picture. Um, I'll start first. I'll cover the NFC. How about that? So
go ahead.
we got Philly sitting on the one seed, okay, and obviously we know that they're gonna sit some people there, but the biggest topic is it gonna matter? Are they gonna be one and done? So that is gonna be an interesting game to say the least. At the number two spot, we got Minnesota. I mean, we know what we're gonna get with Minnesota, so we don't really need to talk too much into that.
Yeah,
So
tough
they're sitting
defense, run the
pretty.
ball. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's
yeah.
that's good. So they're sitting pretty at the number two spot. Now this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets interesting. We have the LA Rams uh, sitting at number three, and they got San Fran week 17. We already know on all the media outlets, they're already talking about starters will be sit for week 17, namely Todd Gurley and quarterback Jared Goff. So it may be fantasy
Also, Cooper
wise,
Cup is out as well. Cooper Cup is out as well.
Cooper Cup.
So
Okay,
yeah, he's out as well.
I would imagine they'll sit a couple. I wouldn't be surprised if Woods sat too. I mean, come on, like let's be real.
Well, see, remember, don't forget, Woods missed a few weeks towards the end of the season with a little nagging injury. So he's missed time already. So maybe just get his legs back under him. They may play maybe a half. They may treat it like preseason game number 3, where they're playing maybe for a quarter or a half, and then just to get his legs under him because he's to pretty much get ready for next week. But at the same time, they may say, you know what, we're playing again next week. We don't want to risk anything. We're a pretty good team. We're going to travel on the road. Let's just go ahead and rest our starters. Get ready for next week.
All right. Let's see. And then we have New Orleans sitting at number 4 in the NFC versus Tampa Bay. Now, with discussion, we've decided, this is a division play. They're vying for the top of the division with this game. So sitting people may not be in their best interest if they want to be on top of that particular division title versus Tampa Bay. Here's another interesting one, and this is going to back up with basically number 5 and 6, Atlanta and Carolina. So they play each
Yeah,
other, but one again going for a division title. But we see what happened in Week 9. Okay, with Carolina winning by 3. So I mean, this one with the stakes being high, I think, and this may come as a surprise. Um, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones may go gangbuster on this one. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you're right about that. That they may go off. These are two. This is two teams that I'll definitely try to pick. If I'm out in YouTube land, that I would definitely try to pick to get teams from guys from is this game right here, because this game got a lot of implication. Not only division title for grab, but also a playoff position for Atlanta. They haven't secured anything yet. They haven't secured their spot yet, because you still have Seattle with a puncher's chance to get in.
okay.
So you're gonna these players are gonna, and a great thing about it is all those teams are playing at the same time. You don't have somebody playing at 1 o'clock, then somebody playing at 4:30. Everybody's playing that late game slot, which means that you're gonna have which once again scoreboard watching. But you should be score watching, you should be focused on the action, winning the game. And for Carolina, I mean, Carolina won a division. You want to at least host a home playoff game. You want to at least host one game at home. You don't want to be the team where you'll be traveling on the road to the Super Bowl. You don't want that. It's a tough road. Has it been done before? It has. The Giants recently did it. The New York team already did it in the past, but you rather have at least one home game where you could go ahead, be in your own bed, eat home cooking, know that after the game, you have to jump on a flight, you're just going to get in your car and go home. But you want to go home knowing that the fact that you play the following week, not go home and say, man, I'm starting my vacation early. But I do feel that those three teams, the Falcons, Panthers, and the Saints, are playing something very important. So all those players and on those teams are going to play.
Well, the Seahawks, fantasy, on the point of fantasy, going with Russell Wilson this week is probably the smartest move any person can make, only because of what's at stake. If they win, it's because of him. You like how that rhymed?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
my take on the NFC. What you got for the AFC?
The AFC pitch is a little more cloudy than the NFC. NFC pretty much, it's kind of just playing for division. All the top two seeds already secured already. Now it's pretty much just up to right now where, you know what, we're just trying to figure out seating position. The AFC now is a little more complicated. Not only do you have teams fighting for playoff spot, you got 4 teams, I should say 3 teams fighting for one playoff spot. Okay? But outside of that, you have a number 1 seed up for grab as well between the Patriots and the Steelers, which once again, scoreboard watching. But as of today, there's rumors that Big Ben and Le'Veon Bell may sit. So no, and I think the reason for that, the Patriots playing the Jets. That's what they're playing. They're playing the Jets in New England. I feel that this may be a blowout by halftime. The Patriots made us go ahead and just roll them to where they could sit their starters in the second half, even though they have a bye and they got potentially playing at home throughout the playoffs. The Steelers, on the other hand, knows this. I mean, they all know this as well. They're smart people. They're in the NFL for a reason. That they know that they're playing the Jets at home. New England doesn't really lose at home. I guess it's a divisional rival between the Jets and New England, but the Jets are not on the same level as the Patriots this year. So, I mean, it would be wise for them to rest Le'Veon Bell, which makes it a big impact for fantasy. Le'Veon Bell and Big Ben going down is a big impact. Reason being now, because Le'Veon Bell, once again this week, is the highest price tag of any fantasy player. Now you have money to spread out to other people. But going into the other playoffs position for that final 6 seed, the Titans, the Chargers, and the Bills. Any one of those two team loses, they're out. Right now, the Titans have the foot in the door. So if they win, the Chargers and Bills are out. But if one of those teams loses, if the Titan loses, it opens the door for Pandora's box now and figuring out who gets in, who don't get in, and stuff like that, man. But it should be a great weekend, not only for fantasy, but for regular football as well, man. It's going to be a great weekend, man. How do you feel about that?
No, I just want to piggyback on the Pittsburgh Le'Veon Bell sit. Let's take a trip down memory lane to last year, Week 17, when Lev Bell had like he basically apparently he got hurt. He got hurt
Yeah.
last season, week
Yeah.
6, week 17, and Williams came in and he had basically stole the show. So
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
being here we are, 2017, week 17, spending all that money on Lev Bell, and they sit him. It's like getting punched in the stomach twice, second year in a row. So I don't know about you, but I'm off the Lev Bell train for week 17.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Pittsburgh team, I would stay away from a lot of Pittsburgh. Even Juju Smith-Schuster, I would stay away from him as well. Brian, I'll stay away from because they're gonna they have a bye next. They have a bye, but there's nothing better for football players than rest this time of year. Because remember, a lot of these teams had their byes early in the year, so a lot of these teams are going on maybe 12 weeks of not having a bye week. So resting, even if it's been 6 weeks, they still want when the players be rested for a playoff push. You're not having any cupcake games when you're in the playoffs. All these teams are good, and when it's time to play New England, which Pittsburgh feel they're going to be in the AFC Championship game, you got to make sure you have all your horses. Because last year, unfortunately, Antonio Brown didn't play. A lot of Pittsburgh fans felt that if Brown would have played, they would have beat New England. I said to myself, I don't care who would have played. That New England team was destined to win last year. They had a chip on their shoulder. Tom Brady got hurt. Tom Brady got suspended, I should say. And they thought it was wrong. They had a chip on their shoulder, regardless of what, we're winning the championship, to stick it in the face of the commissioner or anybody that felt that the Patriots cheated the year before. So, but this year the stakes are up for grabs again. Both teams feel that they're going to matriculate to face each other in the AFC Championship game. So it'll behoove them to rest their players. So
Well,
it just makes fantasy a lot more harder because now you have a lot more players in the pool. It's that old arithmetic where the more variables you have, the harder the problem is. And this is what we have this week in week 17 is you have more players sitting out and you have more players to choose from. Players actually you may not know. Players that made them a couple years ago. Matt Flynn, week 17, pretty much played his way into a contract with Seattle. And last year, as you mentioned, Denzel Williams came in and had a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game. Cost me some money in fantasy because I didn't pick him. I didn't think to pick him.
I picked Lev Bell like in 3 lineups.
Same here.
And
Same
man,
here.
it was terrible. It was terrible. So speaking of players, let's get into players to watch. So for me, I'll start this off. In the quarterback, I'll give you two.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Matt Ryan. Okay, thinking he's going to connect with Julio Jones time and time again for this game. Because I mean, if there's a team that they excel against, it's
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers. So I'm gonna get on that Matt Ryan train for just this one stop. But then also my second guy would be, and it should come to no surprise to you, Mr. Russell Wilson himself. Top that, my
Yeah. Yeah. Well. For me, those are some great picks. Russell Wilson is all year long to me has been one of the best fantasy quarterbacks, in fact, players overall out there. Matt Ryan, he's another inconsistent one, man. But okay, but for me personally, Cam Newton. I do feel when it was the bright lights, Cam Newton performed. Whether he was in college or playing last 2 years ago when we had a phenomenal game, phenomenal run, I should say, to the Super Bowl and eventually losing to Denver. But when the bright lights are on, Cam Newton performed. This year, when he was in primetime games, Cam Newton scored over 25 points in fantasy. This guy, some players when lights get brighter, they perform better. And I think that Super Bowl loss enabled Cam to get better at his craft, understand the bright lights where he's not going to start slow and finish strong, but also have a consistent game. And when the lights are bright, Cam Newton is the way to go. All right. In terms of another quarterback, I am going to jump in with Russell Wilson bandwagon because they're playing for something. They are playing for something. They're trying to get in the playoff. So Russell Wilson is going to go ahead and just, in my opinion, will them to victory. Another guy, when the brights are light, he performs. That's who I'm going with.
Okay, I would second that. Obviously, he's gonna just take that team on his shoulder and bring them to the promised land. Running backs. What two running backs would you be watching this week?
All right. So initially, in my pre-game stats, I had a few running backs here, but going to my research in a pre-podcast roundup, I realized something that I missed, and now I have to readjust who I'm picking here. But I'm going with Giovanni Bernard. That's who I'm going with as my first guy, just because once again, end of the year, the guy's playing is trying to play to show that he still got it. Needs to be on a team. Even though Joe Mixon is there, I don't think Marvin Lewis has used him right all year long. Mixon was there last week when Giovanni Bernard scored 32 points. I just feel that Giovanni Bernard is going to have a big game. But I must say, I had Dion Lewis as my other guy to watch for just because of how the Jets play, how the Jets linebackers have done against running backs out of the backfield this year. Hasn't been good. I had him. But then I read something. Accordingly, Derrick Henry. All right. Murray's out. Murray's out this week. The Titans are playing for a playoff spot, so I'm going with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had a nice game last week. I do feel that this week, with him knowing that he's the lead back, the number one back, nobody else there to play, I do feel that he will be the one to go ahead and probably take him to the promised land on this one. So I got Derrick Henry and I got Giovanni Bernard, but I also got a slash to put Dion Lewis in there.
Use a slash this time. Okay.
A slash.
Okay.
Slash.
Okay. I give you that. All right. So I'm gonna go with a couple names that have not been said.
Okay.
Let's see. I will take the Miami running back.
It's a good one.
So gotta go with Mr. Drake. CM Drake, Drake brothers. So gotta go with Drake. And instead of me going with Dion Lewis, I'm gonna have to go this route. Carlos Hyde. Okay.
Ooh,
They don't have nothing.
Carlos.
But don't ooh nothing. He has consistently been averaging a little over 20 fantasy points. And now that San Fran has gone on this 5-0 run, dude, as good as Garoppolo and as much press as he's getting, they still need to run the ball. And Carlos Hyde is that man to do it. So
Yeah.
I got to go with Carlos Hyde and Drake for my two picks. Wide receivers, obviously going to get into a lot of players that either will sit or need to sit. But I mean, are you going to take the chance on any high-ranking wide receivers this week?
No. I'm here and I'm looking right now at the list of players that are actually wide receivers going to be out. Of course, Antonio Brown is out already, but you also got Hopkins missing his first game in 5 years in the NFL, his entire career. Devontae Adams is out. Hill's out. Shepard's not playing. Cooper Kupp's not playing. Wallace not playing. A lot of top wide receivers are not playing. They also some other top wide receivers. It's not playing for anything. They're not playing for anything at all. So they may, like I said, they may treat it like a preseason game. They may play a half. They may play a couple series, and they may see the rest of the game. So a lot of these teams are going to look at the young players and see what they have going to 2018. But I'm going with receiver-wise because they're playing for something. Julio Jones. Once again, just like within a game where Cam Newton shows up in big games, Julio Jones as well always shows up in big games. So I'm going with Julio. I do feel like Julio is going to go ahead and have another big game as well. So, and the other receiver that I'm gonna go with, which I'm taking a flyer on this, just because I know what's at stake and who they're playing. I'm gonna go with Doug Baldwin. I feel like Doug Baldwin, that's a jab. But I also got another slash for you at receivers. Jordan Nelson's out. Devontae Adams out. The only wide receiver that's playing that's worth anything is going to be Randall Cobb. Okay? I kind of feel that they transfer what Brett Huntley has in Green Bay, and they're going to feed Randall Cobb because nobody else on that team is a noble receiver. So I know I gave you three, but I'm going. Those are my three receivers I'm looking at.
Three is a good number. I'll take three. I'll have to start with two guys that are playing for something, okay? And obviously stacking my quarterback, Matt Ryan, with his number one option, Julio Jones.
Yeah.
Then another team that has something to play for are the LA Chargers. So Keenan Allen. Melvin Gordon may not play, so Keenan Allen gets the pass script for Week 17. If they wanna make it to the uh, out of the hunt
Playoffs.
and into the if they want to get out of the hunt into the playoffs, Keenan Allen needs to show up. That's. And then here's my slash guy, and this is purely because of lineup. They don't have anything really to play for except for money and pride, and I would have to say, or maybe a contract for next year. Um, I want to say Marvin Jones Jr. I got to go with him. They
Okay.
play in Green Bay, and most people have had pretty much had their way with the Green Bay D-back. So Marvin Jones Jr. for my third option. Give me one tight end.
See the tight end spot once again. It's marred by the lack of playing. Of course, you got the top dogs, the top wig, Kelsey and Gronk, but we already know that Kelsey's not playing. They already put out he is not playing at all. Then Gronk again is that thing where I'm afraid of the fact that the Patriots are going to blow out the Jets in Foxborough, and Gronk's going to play a half. But also, you can risk it where the Jets keep the game close and they play the whole game because they want a number one spot. They want to play at home. They want to be at home. All right. They don't want to go on the road and play any team. But for me, though, the tight end that, in my opinion, that's going to have a big week. It's going to have a big week is Laney Walker. The Titans are playing with something. They're trying to be in the playoff. So they're playing with something. So I'm gonna go with Delaney Walker. That's what I'm going with.
Delaney Walker. I'm a fan of Delaney Walker. He's been somewhat docile this year, and I'm pretty sure it has to do a lot with their quarterback. But I am a fan of Delaney Walker, so I'm not going to talk bad about him. But I do got one better for you.
Who?
Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates. Okay.
Yeah.
Had a great game, had his most targets, most touchdowns last week, and I told you that was going to happen. And you know what? It's going to happen again because he is now the number one tight end option for the LA Chargers. So it only makes sense. And as we're going to say many times in this broadcast, they have something to play for. So why not put it on the veterans' back? Why not put it on the veterans' back? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Defensive wise, if I had to pick Pittsburgh versus Cleveland, most defenses versus Cleveland tend to have a good outing. Um, so I would have to go with Pittsburgh Steelers on a defense. Did you give me a defense? I don't believe you did.
No, I didn't. But defense I'm going with, which may come as a surprise to a lot of folks.
Whoever's playing the Giants.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's two teams that suck. So I don't think it's going to matter if they play each other or not. But I'm going to go to 49ers defense, man. They've been looking really good the last few weeks. And once again, they're playing a team that's not going to have Todd Gurley, not going to have Cooper Kupp, not going to have Jared Goff, and may not have Woods as well. So in my opinion, you're pretty much going up against backups. you're going up against backups, and 49ers are still playing their stars because they too are evaluating players. They want to see what they have in Jimmy Garoppolo. They want to give him that big contract, which in my opinion should give to him because he's proven already what he's done. So they're trying to evaluate other positions as well to see what they're going to do going to the draft next year. So I feel like the Rams are a good defense pick this week because of the fact that the Rams aren't playing anybody. Just off of that.
I agree with that. And everyone in YouTube land, heed our words, okay? Don't be that guy that spent all your money on a star who's going to be on the sideline eating, eating Skittles or a hot dog or something. So don't be that guy. It feels terrible. Don't be that guy. All right.
Yeah, it happens every year though, where somebody or a group of people will go ahead and pick a star player that has nothing to play for. My advice to everyone on the YouTube land that's watching this video is if a team is playing and they have nothing to play for, do not go to star player because they're not going to risk injuries, especially if that player just signed a new contract. Because for some odd reason, Week 17 NFL have not been good to a lot of star players in the last few years. We've seen players go out with ACL tears. We've seen players going out to where they're out until the middle of the following season. So a lot of organizations now are protecting their investment by saying, you know what, you're not playing. And that's one of the reasons why the Houston Texans shut down Hopkins. Like, listen, we're going to play for outside of Deshaun Watson on offense. He's the best asset. Shut him down. I don't care if you work with a headache. He's not playing. That's what the teams are doing. So please heed the fact that a lot of try to stick with teams that have players. If you're going to go with star players, I'm just talking about star players because there are going to be that one or two under the radar guy like a Matt Finn did a couple years ago, and last year Williams is going to go off and have a big game. I'm just speaking about star players, the heavyweights, the guys that cost over $6,000-$7,000. Those guys, be very careful. It's a lot of money to spend for a guy going to get you 10 points or less than that. All right, Mr. Drake, what do you think about that?
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, you should have kind of your list of players that you just would not play, and especially the higher the price tag and the nothing to play for is great advice. But let's see what a lineup looks like for you, and allow me to take a time out to just extend an olive branch to all the viewers out there. Last week when we did our DraftKings lineup head to head, it was a good, exciting thing to do, just kind of see where we were. But for all of those who watch this broadcast, subscribe to the channel, like the video, if you too want to partake in Week 17's head to head, I would advise you go ahead and leave your DraftKings username in the comments, or you can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram if you want to join the head-to-head contest for Week 17. What do you say, Damien? You
Yeah.
good? All right.
Yeah, I'm good on that, man. It was definitely fun. It's free. It's something that we're gonna grow next season to where we could possibly possibly give out some money. But for right now, it's free, friendly competition. Talk trash. See where you fit at for week 17 before the playoffs start. I know you spoke earlier about our lineups, but one thing I want to mention this week is a matchup that I know a lot of players, a lot of YouTubers are going to try to pick players from, and it's the Raiders. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't pick those Raiders players because the matchup they have against that LA Chargers secondary has not been good all year. It hasn't been good even last year as well, and this year's even gotten worse. Amari Cooper and Crabtree worst game they've had fantasy-wise have been against LA Chargers, two outstanding cornerbacks in Travis Williams and Roman Hargrave. So those are two players that I would definitely stay away from because the Chargers secondary is pretty good. They may not start out slow, but that's a pretty good defense and secondary.
What probably wouldn't be a bad choice for a defense for your lineup, now would it?
No, it wouldn't be at all. It would not be at all. But Um, I just think that that defense is pretty solid as well. But I just feel the 49ers are going to have a better outing than the Chargers are going to have. Not by much. I'm not saying that that 49ers are going to go out there and put up 40 points and Chargers are going to put up like none. But for me, just because of all those star powers sitting in LA, you got to start. You got to go ahead and start the 49ers defense, man. You got to play them.
Understandable. So let's take a give the viewers a preview of the lineup for upcoming week 17 on DraftKings. So run down your lineup for me, so they can get a taste of what they're up against here.
All right. Well, my lineup right now is consists of Cam Newton. I already said enough already about Cam. Cam is I think gonna light up Atlanta. He's going to Atlanta. He's played in that dome. Well, he hasn't played in that dome, but he's played in Atlanta. Had big games in college, big games in the NFL as well. Then I'm going Giovanni Bernard. I think Giovanni Bernard is gonna have another big week again. Nothing to play for, but except for a contract next year. And one thing about professional athletes that when it comes to their money, they're gonna go ahead and pay their butts off. All right. Then I have Dion Lewis. Once again, the one seed. I do feel Dion Lewis is gonna have a big enough half if he plays that, or a big enough game to pretty much, I wouldn't say duplicate, but come close to duplicating what happened last week. Then, as I mentioned earlier, Randall Cobb, no other receivers playing. Nobody else is playing. He's the only noteworthy receiver that's playing. So I'm going with Randall Cobb. Then I have Jamison Crowder, just because the Giants secondary is in dysfunction. You already have Eli Apple suspended this week again. The players are ready to go home. And after I've seen the Giants have, which was promised to be a team that's coming out that was supposed to go to the Super Bowl, and nobody wants to be there. They already got I know some of the Giants players got their plane tickets booked already for the Bahamas or some island somewhere or overseas somewhere. So they're not coming to play. They want to go home. So I think Jamison Crowder is going to have a big game. And also, Kirk Cousin is playing for a contract. He's still playing for a contract. So I think he's going to sling the ball around. And of course, Julio Jones. Can't go wrong with Julio Jones. Big game. Old shows are being big games. I think that this is going to be the same thing. And for tight end, I got Delaney Walker. I picked him earlier. That's what I'm going with. I kind of feel that with Mariota not as polished and not as at a level where the team is going to be at this year. And one thing he does a lot, he checks down a lot to Delaney Walker. So I think Delaney Walker's going to have a big game as well. Then I have Kenny Still. I picked Kenny Still because out of a gut feeling, Kenny Still, some odd reason, always have big games against the Bills. And they are playing in Miami. You always have big games against them. I just going to have another big game this weekend to close out the season. And like I said, on my defense, as I said earlier, I'm going with the 49ers defense. That's who I'm riding with, the 49ers defense, simply because I said it before. I'll say it again. I'll continue to say it. No one for the LA Rams are playing. Those guys are not playing. They went and got a bunch of people off the street to come play this game just because they have to. They were like, listen, man, just show up here at 4:25. Don't worry about the plays. Just show up, and we'll pay for the day. That's what they did, man.
Man, that's kind of cold, man. That's kind of cold, man.
Nobody's playing.
You cold blooded, bro. All right, well, that's a pretty stout lineup, I must say. Pretty good, pretty good. But I think I can do one better.
All right, let me hear it.
So I got to start out with my QB, who is arguably the best fantasy quarterback of all time, Russell Wilson. Okay, so
You
I
said the
got to
greatest
do
fantasy
that.
quarterback of all
Best
time.
fantasy quarterback of all time,
Oh wow, that's
Russell
big.
Wilson. I'm bigging him up, Russell Wilson. Got to stack him with his main target, Doug Baldwin. Okay, and so my second is going to be Marvin Jones Jr. Because of that whole Green Bay matchup. Their cornerbacks has been, real generous to wide receivers,
Say the
um,
least. Say the
to say
least.
the least. And then to round out my third pick, it's a stretch. I'm really going to reach for the stars here, and basically go out of the box. T.Y. Hilton. Okay,
Tough one. That's a
Houston.
good tough one.
They play in Houston. What
Yeah, not paying anybody
star
either.
receiver did not eat, eat against Houston? You
That's
tell me
true.
that.
That's true. That's
All
true.
right then.
It's
All right.
true.
So for running backs, Carlos Hyde got to run Carlos Hyde.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is an important fact. This is a gym. YouTube, listen up here. It's going to be LaShawn McCoy. Okay, think about that. He's definitely up there in the upper echelon of running backs, and he meets all that stuff. So definitely got to roll with LaShawn McCoy. Tight end,
Shady.
shade, yeah, got
Shady.
to put your shades on when that man's in the building. Tight end wise, I got to go with my old man, oldies but goodies, Antonio Gates. He's on my radar, bro. He's flipping on my radar. Pretty
So
strong.
you think you're gonna have another back-to-back week of 20 plus points or even 15?
What other choices do they have, man? What other choices do they have? They're,
All
they're,
right. That's true.
they may be down another starter, so why not big them up? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I did go with a second tight end set, and this was mainly for budgeting purposes. But Seals Jones, tight end for
Okay.
Arizona, and
Okay.
but I did go up on my defense. So now instead of going with a subpar-ish team, I got Seattle, who has something to play for, and they want to shut up all those naysayers that say they're not the same team they was before. Okay, so they got something to prove against Arizona.
All right. All right.
All right, so that's going to be a look at the lineups that we got. So, like I said, if you all want to join in the fun, just go ahead and leave your DraftKings username either in the comments below. You can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram, and we'll just add you to the lineup there. You'll get your email confirmation from DraftKings, and we can just have some fun week 17. What do you say? So,
Yeah, but before we go, this is a huge weekend in college football. Who do you have this weekend advancing
oh
to,
man,
to next week's national championship game? So right now you have Oklahoma versus Georgia. Then you have Clemson versus them boys on Alabama, Roll Tide, in a rematch for the third year in a row. Third year in a row. And this is gonna be pretty much a tie-breaking game. Who do you have? You
I
got
would.
Oklahoma versus Georgia, and then you have Clemson versus the boys from Bama. You know, so who do you got?
I would have to go with Clemson
Oh,
over Alabama.
wow,
Okay, I would have to go
wow,
Clemson over Alabama, and I would have to go with OU over the Bulldogs and Georgia.
wow, wow, wow.
Shout
That's
out,
that
hey,
that.
shout out to all my Oklahoma Sooner co-workers, friends out there, YouTube land. OU, shouting that out for you, baby.
Oh, I'm glad you shut them out. Um, I'm going a bit different here. I'm going a lot. It's like a lot different. I, I feel Georgia could beat them. I feel Georgia's going to go ahead and beat them. I do feel that yes, Oklahoma has a phenomenal offense, but they've never faced an SEC defense. The SEC defense to me is almost as equivalent as the NFL. You know, if you go through
Wow.
the SEC defenses, you're gonna be good. Evident Deshaun Watson, you know what I mean? Ever since that win against Alabama. Now, Clemson versus Alabama, you got to go with the Roll Tide. Yeah, I don't see Clemson being Alabama. I do feel Alabama got something to play for. I do feel Alabama felt that they're gonna play for the fact that Auburn beat them in the Orange Bowl in the Iron Bowl, and they didn't get a chance to play the SEC championship game, and they had a lot of time to rest. That defense is gonna get healed up. I know Clemson's got a phenomenal front seven. I mean, those guys are monsters, but Jalen Hurts is gonna eat them up. I do feel Jalen Hurts is gonna eat them up. So I'm going with an SEC final, Georgia versus Alabama. Alabama is the national champion.
Wow, we're taking all the way to the national championship, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going Alabama winning that championship.
Well, I would have to put when at the end of the day when the dust settles, I believe the reigning champions, Clemson, will reign supreme because I mean they're there for a reason. Okay, so I would have to go with Clemson going all the way, my friend.
Oh wait a minute. Time out. Time out. Time out. You just because all your OU co-workers and OU YouTubers, and you got Clemson winning. I think they stick with
No,
OU.
I'm just, no, I'm a listen. I'm just putting OU out there. Okay, I'm just bigging them up, giving them a shout out. Doesn't mean I think they're the best team on the planet. I mean,
So
come
why give a
on,
team a
like,
shutout if you're not gonna think that they're gonna take them? Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. But hey, our YouTube land, I just want to end this broadcast by saying stay safe this weekend. It's going to be a great weekend this weekend. Celebrate New Year's with family and friends. But if you want to go out and engage in adult beverage, make sure you have a DD. And if that you don't have a DD, go ahead and call a cab, Uber, Lyft. There's an option out there. You know, we don't want anyone to start New Year off on the wrong foot. But go ahead, have fun. Hopefully, one of you guys out there win the 100K. And if you do, just give us 1%. That's all we ask for. Is 1% for the finder's fee. What do you think about that, CM?
well, I second that notion. Everybody be out there, be safe out there. You know, we want to have a great football weekend as well as a happy New Year's. So, like I said, just be safe out there, guys. But we definitely want to, thank you for tuning in with the Wise Guys Sports Talk. Leave a like. Also, subscribe if you enjoyed the content we put out there. Don't forget, if you want to partake in the DraftKings tournament for this Sunday, just leave your DraftKings username in the comments below and we'll add you to the list. But I want to just end it off on a good note and just say that's all, folks.
Peace.